Hi everyone, and welcome back to How the Wise One Grows. In our last two episodes, episode 88 and episode 89, we heard from listeners about what it means to be sober curious and California sober. So those two episodes are really special because they are a community conversation. And I've heard from so many of you about how impactful it was to hear from others about their journey with substances and ways in which you can relate. So it's a really supportive episode series to go back and listen to. Definitely go and do that if you have missed it. And if you are wanting to have more of these conversations in your community, so say you're feeling sober curious, sending these episodes to like a friend is a great way to open that door to the conversation. And we're going to be continuing this concept of having more community conversations on the podcast where you share what you want to talk about and we hear your voices. So there's a link in the show notes to submit what you want to have a community conversation about next. So be sure to check that out. During our time together today, I'm going to share a meditation that explores the relationship we each have with substances. So in those episodes, you heard stories of others, and this is going to be a space for you to reflect on your own journey and experience with substances, and to set an intention for how you want that to be moving forward. Maybe it is best to stay the same exactly as it is right now, and that's great. Or maybe there's areas you want to adjust, and that's great too. This isn't telling you any way that you should or should not relate to substances, but it's just offering an opportunity to move through substance use with intention. And this is a great place to start. Also, to pair with this meditation in our last two episodes in the Sober Curious series, I have a Sober Curious support guide that breaks down the components of our meditation today, as well as tips if you are interested in drinking less or not at all. So there's also a link you can click in the show notes to get that PDF. So, without further ado, find a space that feels safe and supportive for you. And we'll get started. So just begin by noticing where you are right now. Take note of your physical surroundings. So maybe you just notice where you are in the room and any objects around you. You can gently rest your eyes or soften your gaze in a way that feels safe for you, not closing our eyes if we're driving or walking. And now bring your attention to where your body makes contact with the earth and all points that are touching the earth. And allow the body to become heavy here. And feel a sense of being held and supported by the earth beneath you. And take a big breath in. And exhale. Let it out. Again, inhale, fill your chest, fill your belly with air. Exhale, open your mouth, let it all go. Inhale, chest and belly expand. Exhale, open your mouth, let it out. One more inhale. And exhale. And just witness the sensation of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. And I invite you to imagine a circle of protection around you here, keeping you safe, letting you know that this is a safe space. This is a place where you are supported and held to explore. So I like to imagine a circle of light around me, maybe like a circle of some tea candles all around, whatever just makes you feel held here. Let that hold you in this space, reminding you that you're safe. And as you feel where your body makes contact with the earth, I want you to think back on how you saw substances being used when you were growing up. So that might bring up some big stuff for people. So if it does, if it feels overwhelming, return to that feeling of protection around you and that support from the earth. And know that you can stop at any point if it's overwhelming. And if you feel safe here, just kind of reflect back on that question of how did you see substances being used growing up? How were they used in your home and the place that you lived? What stories did those people share about substance use? What were you kind of taught through what you saw and what you heard? Maybe even think about how it made you feel back then. And then reflect on when you first started using substances. Which ones did you start using first? Why? And what was your relationship with substance like then? During that time when you first started? How would it make you feel? And how has it changed over time? And now I invite you to reflect on what your current relationship with substance is like. How do you feel before, during, and after you use a substance? Why do you use substances? Which ones do you use? Do you use them for different things? What's your relationship with each like? How are substances being used in your social circles? And has this changed over time? And get curious about what stories do you have in your mind about substances? And are these stories that came with you from growing up? Or are they different now? But what stories do you tell yourself about substances and your use? And ask yourself, How are substances benefiting you? How are they benefiting you where you are today? I now invite you to think about what you want your relationship with substances to be like moving forward. Do you want it to be the same? Do you want it to be different? Picture it as clearly as you can in your head. Maybe even visualize a day or a setting where substances are normally a part of that situation and you want it to be different. Imagine what that would look like. How do you want to feel with and without substances? And imagine that as clearly as you can in your head. Even embody the sensations. What would it feel like in the body when you use or when you don't use a substance, or both? And then ask yourself, what actions do you need to take to support that? To make that a reality? So maybe think or even jot down like 5 to 10 steps that you need to take to support that future relationship you want to have with substance. And once you've jotted or thought about those steps, ask yourself, what's the first step you can take? What's that smallest starting point you can work towards setting that seed of intention? And this is already a great place to start. So what's the next step? And we're going to focus on taking that. And take a big breath in. And a big breath out. And I invite you to bring a hand to the heart or some other part of the body that feels supportive. And just take a moment to notice what you're feeling in your body here. Take a few breaths to be with it. And thank yourself for showing up and getting to know yourself more deeply through this reflection today. Let's take one more breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you can slowly open your eyes as you return to this space. So a next step that I would recommend taking is downloading our Sober Curious support guide. There's a link in the show notes that you can click to download if you haven't already done so. And it breaks down, it's got this meditation written out, as well as some more action items on how you can shift your relationship with substance. So I definitely recommend downloading that to support you as you continue this exploration of what your relationship with substance is like and what you want it to be like moving forward. Again, knowing there's no right or wrong, it's just about honoring what's right for you and knowing that's subject to change. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in on these sober, curious conversations and making this series a reality by sharing your voices and sharing your feedback. And if you are able, it would mean the world to me if you would consider joining the Dream Team to continue to make this podcast possible. There is a link in the show notes that you can click to join, and you can support financially for as little as $3 a month to help cover the operating costs to put this offering into the world. And if you aren't able to financially support at this time, you can still make a big impact by sharing an episode you love with a friend and leaving a review and following this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. And today I'm going to leave you with a listener-submitted song that pairs with our Sober Curious series.
We're drinking and smoking and raising hell, and I've been sitting and thinking about anything else. Oh, I isolate my mind state, 'cause I can't stand my company.